You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Somebody who I think is one of the top financial gurus in the country, and that is Bob Payne of Payne Capital Management. Bob, thanks so much for joining again this week.
My pleasure, Steve. Always good to be with you.
So another tumultuous week for the market. I want to start, though, if I could, asking you about some of the goings on in Washington. There's a big controversy, as you know, Bob, about what's happening with the labor statistics and the jobs reports. The truth is that there have been huge variations and re-estimates of the numbers, and they tend to look to me to be more and more unreliable. And I wonder what your take is on this story. You've been in this business a long time, but we need reliable government data for investors, for the government programs, for the gauge of our economy. What do you make of this story?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Steve. And I'm glad you're taking a hard look at it because, a lot of businesses depend on that, especially if you own your own business like I do. You depend on these numbers to be accurate. So I think it's been a long time coming that they don't just do these surveys, that they really give us some hard data. But, I think anecdotally, what I'm hearing from my clients who are all over the country is that the economy is really resilient, and they're seeing a lack of good candidates. They have job openings and they can't fill them.
I hear that too, and I think it's a real problem that there are still 7 million job openings in this country. There are about the same number of people looking for jobs. The problem, it seems to me, Bob, is that the jobs that are available don't match the skills that are available.
No, that's true. I think that's been a big issue. But, Steve, I don't know what you majored in college, but I know most of my friends and most of the folks that I know and the statistics that I read that less than 25% of people employed today actually do anything that's related with what they learned in college or what their degree was in. So I think, on-the-job training is great. I think it's really frustrating for a lot of these folks looking for jobs saying, well, you're not experienced, or you're too experienced. So I think it's frustrating on the part of the job seeker, but more importantly, the people that are offering jobs are just looking for good candidates right now.
So I always ask this question of successful people. So I want to ask this question of you because you've been so successful in this. But how long has it been? 40 years? How many years have you been?
50 years. 50 years for me. 50 years, yep.
That's amazing. So congratulations on that. So
thank you.
The question I always ask is, what when you first got your first jobs, what did you do when you started working? Were you in the financial business? What were some of your first jobs?
No, actually, for me, I've only been in this industry my whole career. I graduated in 1975, and our guidance counselor, believe it or not, was telling me that the only place you shouldn't look is on Wall Street, Bob, because
it was a pretty bad market back then. Right.
It sure was. We had the 73, 74 bear market, right? The market was down 75%. It was a horrific bear market.
Yeah.
And everybody was leaving, and being a contrarian by heart, that's where I ended up. I was lucky enough, I guess, or just they were desperate enough at Merrill Lynch. They needed people. So, I got hired as a rookie back in 1975, and the rest is history.
Well, those first few years must have been pretty brutal because there wasn't much action in the market back then.
Really wasn't.
Most of it was negative.
Yeah, it was. The market was, well, actually, if you think about it from an investor standpoint, the market was ripe. It was just, it was so dirt cheap. Right. But we also had a period of time where we had ultra high interest rates. We had high inflation.
I remember.
And, Yeah. So, fortunately, a lot of my clients back then who put a lot of trust in me, they were kind of like my guinea pigs. I was able to invest them in high yield utilities, certificates of deposit, municipal bonds. So income was important. And not knowing anything back then, which is funny, I didn't even have a down payment on a clue, to be honest with you, Steve. When in my first day at Merrill Lynch, I got a Wall Street Journal. I'd never seen one before. I was looking for the sports section. When I couldn't find that, I was looking for the comics, and they had a couple of cartoons there, and they weren't very funny. So, it was really on the job learning for me.
And so so you were in the industry for a long time, and then when did you start Payne Capital Management?
Started Payne Capital Management about 20 years ago. Okay. It was fascinating because when I was at Merrill Lynch, I'll tell you what, after about 5 years, I thought, all they want me to do is sell the products that they create. Right, and it didn't make any sense to me. So I came up with a novel concept, Steve. Go to your client, sit down and find out what they need, and then work backwards and tell the firm what investment products they need to develop to get the client to their goals. So, long story short, I ended up becoming the advanced training program for Merrill Lynch and traveled all over the country, got a chance to train other advisors on the process and strategies that I used. And then after I figured it out, Ryan came to work, my son Ryan, who's my partner at Payne Capital. Yeah. And he said, Dad, if you got it all figured out, why are we working for them? Let's have our own firm. And we launched Payne Capital Management 20 years ago, and it's been a tremendous success.
It sure has. So, there's a lesson, I think, that when you started, you started in a bear market, and then of course in the Reagan years we saw the massive spurt of earnings and the spurt of market valuations, and we've seen that of late too. But you remain bullish. I mean, stocks have done very, very well in the last few years. So, but you remain bullish even in these sometimes high PE ratios.
Yeah, the only time that I ever really turned negative was back in 2007 when we had the housing bubble. You could see what was really happening. Since I also live in Florida and I live in New Jersey, and my son lives in Manhattan. We could see what was happening with the real estate market and how there was like an irrational exuberance truly about real estate. And the market had taken on an irrational exuberance on its own. But the big mistake we made back then is I actually got everybody out of the market, which was insane. And, when the market bottomed in 2009, it was almost impossible to get them back in because I kept saying, Bob, you were right. Things are really bad. I said, no, everything's priced in. Things are going to get better. So what you want to do in any market is, and I'm very bullish right now, but I'm not bullish on everything. And you don't want to just be, all in just tech stocks right now, even though we're making a killing there. I'm very bullish on the rest of the world, the rest of the market, because there's extreme opportunities right now in investments. Like blue chip dividend paying stocks are a great place to be right now. And over that 50-year period, Steve, the best way to create wealth was to compound dividends in blue chip stocks. Of course. So they're on sale right now. So there's a lot of opportunity in the market. People should be very, very fully invested right now and very bullish. And the thing that I love, Steve, is that so many people have been bearish for the wrong reasons, right? And, you and I have been talking for years. And, a lot of their fellow economists, they were all, convinced that we were going to have a recession because we had an inverted yield curve. You just can't use
I never believed
indicator. No, you didn't.
I know. And you
were like the voice in the wilderness out there for the last 3 years.
The reason, Bob, I'd like to have you and Ryan on is because you've been more right than most of your competitors. I mean, you've been, even when people turned bearish, you remained bullish throughout. And boy, has that paid off. So appreciate your sage advice, Bob. I hope to talk to you next week. That's Bob Payne of Payne Capital Management.